Hi, I'm Kiwi,
And I'm Jared.
and we are the two gentlemen coming at you again from lockdown. How are you,
Yay.
Jared?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Yeah, not too bad sitting outside today. So I apologize for any of the, if you get any birds in the background or any possums. I know we've had possums before on the show, but yeah, these are my possums and not not Kiwis.
I think possums are a real ratings winner, so it'll work for us,
Yeah,
Jared.
they did. Yeah, hopefully they don't start a fight behind me. Mate, I thought I'd bring up a little subject, and it's something that I have I have opinion on, and I want to ask your opinion. Do our jobs define us?
Hmm. That's a really good question, actually. I would say no in most
Okay.
cases. I think the
Yep.
way you do your job has a lot more of a role in defining you than what you do.
Yeah.
Yep. And what's your opinion, Jared?
Um, I would say that it has a big effect on us. So, um, whilst I do agree in a manner, and we'll get into a bit further what you said, I just I look at the way people meet each other, and for the first time, or if you haven't seen anybody for a period of time, and you almost ask their name, and the next thing you say is, "What do you do for a living?" And then if you already know that, so if it's a friend that's coming over, or you're meeting up with a friend, how's work? That seems to be the questions you ask, and you don't think about it. You really don't. You just sort of go, oh yeah, busy or not busy, or whatever. But it's almost like ingrained in us to ask that, and I just thought it was an interesting point.
Yep. It's one of the first things I want to know about a person.
Yeah,
And when I hear about what people talk about in elevators, if you were to walk into a lift with someone in that first 10 seconds or whatever it is, it usually is, hi, how are you? A bit of small talk about the weather. And then, so what do you do? Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And I guess we want to know what people are good at and what they've got to offer, really, don't we? What their capabilities are. We're sizing people up. And I guess going by what you were saying, does it define you? It does give a bit of an indication. It's a barometer of what someone's capabilities are. So if you hear someone is a doctor, all of a sudden you think, oh, this person's really smart. If you hear that they're I don't know, a laborer of some sort, your opinion of them might not be as high.
yeah, and that's right, and that's why like whilst it what you said at the start, where it depends on maybe how you do your job, and which is true. How you are seen is a big effect on how you are seen in society in general. And I know that it's taken me a long time to find my niche and my spot in the career. Like, I'm 40 years old, and I will say that I'm possibly at the point where I'm happy now. So after 20 years in the war and some in the workforce, this is where I want to be. So some people find it quicker, but I had jobs where I didn't want to tell people what I did. Like, not saying the jobs were, anything crazy or whatever, but it wasn't me. So I didn't want that to reflect on people's um, thoughts of me. And look, there's times when I did tell what people I did, and they almost went, "Oh, all right, you're one of those guys," and it's not me, mate. It's not me at all, and it's just a uniform, and it pays the bills. So yeah, it's an interesting topic, I think.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It means a lot to me because my eldest son, as you know, is going to become a garbo.
Yeah,
Not wants to be a garbo, will be a garbo. He's actually got the second biggest a garbage truck YouTube channel in Australia. He's 12 years old, by the way. He's been doing it since he was 4. So this is a lifetime passion. He's doing it. He's been doing it for longer than he hasn't.
yeah,
He's been into garbage trucks since he was, I think, about 18 months old. He went to his first garbage, Australian Waste and Recycling Expo back in 2011. He was born in 2009. As soon as we told him about it at that age, he knew, and he's like, "I want to go." We had to contact the organisers of the convention, and, get a special exemption to get him in there. We weren't allowed to put him down. They said, oh, look, children aren't allowed to be on the floor, so you'll have to carry him the whole time. We're like, yep, we'll do it. And we carried him even when he was like 8 years old, because he wasn't, kids weren't allowed to be on the floor. We went to Melbourne to go to their Australian Waste and Recycling Expo at the convention centre down there. Like, this is what he does. It's his passion. Now, when I've told people he's going to be a garbo, people are like, oh, well, he might become an engineer. They want him to be more ambitious. Yeah. But to me, he is really ambitious. He's got an amazing brain. He's always thinking. He's always asking me questions about everything. He runs rings around the 20-year-old version of me as a human being, as a complete human already. And I'm not exaggerating at all. I'm so proud of him. And he's going to become a garbo. So for a lot of people, that's a bit confronting. It's like, well, is that and I'm using quote unquote, isn't that a waste? Actually, that's a pun.
Yeah. That's done well. Yeah.
Thank you. But, I've got a child who is really, really happy, knows where he's going, knows what he wants to do. He's already got friends in the industry. Garbos love him. And, but I don't think a lot of people can quite accept that. It's almost as if, oh, is that worth someone's while? Is that worth all that brain power you've got?
I'll just touch on that a lot. I worked in the waste industry for a little while, for quite a while. And it is one of the necessities of life. When you say, is that worthwhile? The fairies just don't come along and remove your waste. It's actually one of the biggest industries, around. And, some of the garbage truck drivers that I know have been in the job for a very, very long time because they choose to be in the job for a very long time. And while some people do use it as a stepping stone to get into certain roles, there are in the industry, but there is guys out there that have been doing it longer than I've been alive. And I'll tell you about thinkers. They're in that truck for 12, 14 hours a day, and they've got plenty of time to think and plenty of time to work out whether they're happy or not, and they continue to do the job. So there must be something in it.
Definitely. Thanks for that respect there, Jared. I really appreciate that. And it doesn't mean that would define that person in the truck driving all day. Like you said, they've got all sorts of thoughts going on that 12-hour shift or whatever it is that they're working. And I think that's the main thing. It's not what you do, it's the consciousness with which you do it. And my son is highly intelligent and he's a lovely person. And all I want is for him to be happy. And he's found his passion. To me, job done. He's won.
That's all you can hope for as a parent, really, isn't it? But, unfortunately, and, I'm going to say it, there's going to be haters out there haters might be a strong word. There's going to be people out there that are going to challenge him. And, look down on him. For choosing that's his passion. He's not choosing it. It's his passion. And I'm sure people have that, like, there's so many people out there that are doing jobs that are necessities, but it definitely has an effect on what sort of, how people look at you. As we're talking about this, I'm swaying to the fact that it really does. And it's a hard thing to crack, like, if you tell someone we're using Garbo as an example, people already have that you in a box. They really do.
Yep, that's right, Jared. And people will see that that's all you're capable of. And now we've had this discussion before. If you are going to judge somebody based on one particular characteristic, that's on you, not on them.
Yep. And that's all over, isn't it? Really, that's we've said it before, and we'll repeat this many times, I would imagine, through these podcasts. But yeah, look, I spoke about myself being 2 years into a career that I want to be in finally. In my and again reconnecting with you, learning how you are living your life. I'd imagine you're pretty happy with your roles you're the role that you've been in, because you've been in there a long time. Now, it's a caring role, what you do, and I look at how you went through school, and very intelligent and very good marks, and you could have gone anywhere you would have wanted to academically. You know, and I say this with all respect. You chose the path to end up in this career so far in your life, and some would say that you wasted your academic levels. You know, like you could have been anywhere and chasing the big money, or you know, running companies, or you know, doing all this. But I mean, for me, it's important to do something that you actually want to do, and that outweighs the whole, you know, money situation and whatever. So if you found your niche and your spot, you know, that's really good.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, Jared. But one really important point there that you made was you brought up the word money. Yeah. If I were doing this job, the exact same thing, and I was making $1 million a year from it, no one would ask any questions, would they? Regardless of what I'm doing with my brain, whether I'm using the full capacity of all of my mental faculties, no one would bat an eyelid. If I were an Instagram model or something right now, you know, I was sitting here in my robe and beanie.
Oh, look, I think you can do it.
Oh, thanks, Jared. Nice to know someone believes in me.
You've got good structure. Yeah.
But if I were doing that, making $1 million a year, people would call me a genius. Even if I was sitting there contributing nothing to society, just people would say, oh, yeah, well, look, he's making a lot of money. It must be good. I
was just had this, like, that shows you that how money driven this whole society is. And you know, and it's a fine line between, you know, do I make the money, or am I doing a job that somebody, you know, like I said, if you were contribute nothing to society and make $1 million, people will be like, oh, what a genius. But there's actual geniuses out there that are on, you know, bare minimum and are surviving, but no one notices, you know. So they're judged a little bit, I guess, from there for how much money they're making, and B, you know, what they're actually doing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, when we went to our high school reunion back in 2008, that's how long ago it was. I wasn't even a dad at the time.
Yeah.
I remember an old high school acquaintance found out what I did for a living. By the way, I work with people with disabilities. And she said, oh, okay, wow, it's just, you were quite bright. That were her words. Yeah. And also one of our teachers was there, and I had her for many years, and I was quite fond of her. And when I was in high school, I remember her saying to someone, it wasn't to me directly, but she said that Kiwi is very self-consumed. And that always stuck with me. And I'm not the kind of person that gets offended. You know, if you say something to me, I'll have a look at it. You know, I won't just get all defensive. I like criticism. I like feedback. It gives me a chance to work on something. Yeah. And that really stuck with me. And I realized I really was a self-consumed individual. You know, it was all about, you know, how can I advance myself? So, you know, when we've talked about, you know, me trying to become a better person, and, you know, that's going to be a lifelong journey. But yeah, it was a bit of a shock to people that, you know, I didn't pursue some lifestyle where I was making a lot of money and flying on a private jet. I remember when we had our, you know, year 10 careers advice, I wanted to be a merchant banker. Do you know why? I didn't even know what a merchant banker was. I still don't know what they do. But at the time, I knew that they made a lot of money. That was it. That was it. And, you know, when I left high school, I studied computer engineering. I wasn't even into computers. I did it because I got the marks for it. And that wasn't a way to live. And when I started finding my passions, I realized that life is really short. You know, we've discussed that before. I'm not digressing. I just need to give some context to this. Jared, when we were 18 going on 19, 2 movies came out that were life-changing for me. One was The Matrix and the other was Fight Club. I saw Fight Club with one of our best friends at George Street in the city, I remember. And there's a scene that stuck with me forever. And it's still one of my biggest motivations. So Brad Pitt's character pulls a gun on a guy in a convenience store and says to him, the guy's name's Raymond. He goes, what did you want to be, Raymond? He goes, a veterinarian. And then Brad Pitt goes, you know, well, why did you stop? Was it, you know, and the guy goes, oh, it was too hard, too much study. And then Brad Pitt says, I'm going to come back in a week, and if you're not on your way to being a veterinarian, I'm going to kill you. And, that was the gun to my head.
Yeah.
I felt that, it's like, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I don't know when that's going to be, whether it's in 10 years or 100 years. That's too soon for me. I've got so much I want to do. And it's like, am I really not going to pursue my dreams out of fear because it's too hard? And my dream is to be a writer. So when you say, am I wasting my intellect? Absolutely not. I wrote a novel. That's my greatest achievement in my life. There are people that we went to school with who would run rings around me, who were just so much more intelligent than me. But what I was good at was sitting down and getting to work. It took me years and I did it. So intellectually, I feel like I've come as far as I possibly could, and I pushed myself, and I did it in a way where I had no institutional backing. I'm not some academic. I'm not someone who's got a patron giving me money. I'm a guy who paid his own way and wrote what I feel is my best work ever. It's my, opus. So I feel like I've climbed my Everest. There are people out there who, have boring day-to-day jobs because they're just trying to raise enough money to go to the Olympics. And that's their thing. I feel like I've done the same. And I'm happy with the job that I have. I'm really lucky that I've got a great team as well. And it's so nice being able to go to work and get on with people and actually have connections with people. They're my friends. So yeah, that's my answer, Jared.
Well, it's good. It's good to hear that you are able to. I'm thinking of the right way, the right words, but you are using what you've got. We're going back to what my dad used to say to you. Use what you've got. You're using what you've got in a positive way for you. So you're not just heading to the 9-to-5 grind and just making lots of money as a merchant banker and not really caring, or making money as a IT specialist that you just have no passion for. So to be able to do your job and be passionate about your job also helps the people that you're helping. If you're, I'm sure you may have come across people in your time where they're only doing the job just to do it, and I'm sure the clients that you have respect someone like yourself and appreciate having you caring for them because of the care that you have for the job. It definitely would shine through, I'm sure. But that's doing something that you want to do. That's having like your young fellas, he's got a passion to become, work in the waste industry and become a garbo. So how good is he going to do at that job, and how good are you doing? You know what I mean? It just has it makes me all warm and fuzzy.
That's great to hear, Jared. Look, how great would the whole world be if everybody did what made them happy?
There'd be less conflict, I'll tell you. There'd probably be a bit of conflict because people are so passionate. I guess passion, a little bit of conflict, but people wouldn't be angry at hitting their horns on the car every time they're stuck in traffic, or there'd be a little bit more. Everyone will be a bit nicer. The world will be a nicer place.
Now, Jared, you haven't gone into specifics about what you do, so do you want to just quickly share that?
Look, I work in the homelessness sector, so as my role essentially is to help people who are living on the streets and help them get housed out of the cold, out of the weather. That's in a nutshell. There's a lot that goes with it, but for me, my thing is, well, if you're living on the streets and you can't find work or you can't do something else, if you remove that living on the streets part of the equation, and you can get them into some temporary housing, or even if it's just getting a shower or getting food provided, that takes a big worry and lets people concentrate on maybe getting their affairs in order, getting what they need to get back on in a place where they can be safe. That's different for everybody. Some people feel safe in a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, backyard, like doesn't mean the next guy wants to live in that situation, but it's just to get people in a situation where they feel safe and able to make, decisions without anything else clouding that sort of that way. So yeah, working in the homelessness sector, just helping people. That's where I'm at. I'm using my powers for good.
Jared, that sounds so amazing. And in your case, I feel that it does define you. No one would be surprised that, the Jared Weston that they grew up with now works for homeless people.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to feel that people, that obviously the people that know me kind of feel that's where I should be. And yeah, look, I'm still getting used to it, actually, to be honest. I'm still getting used to saying what I do to people and people going, oh, that's great. And actually speaking and having a story to tell, or having, giving me some advice, or saying, oh, have a look at this video, or have a look at this documentary, or, like people didn't say that before when I was doing, compliance work. It's a nice thing that I'm still, like I said, I'm still getting used to, actually.
Yeah. And it's really interesting in your role as someone supporting homeless people. You can imagine, just looking at the question you're asking me today, you can imagine how much homelessness defines who they are in the eyes of other people. So a lot of people would look at a homeless person and have so many preconceived ideas about them, just as they'd look at you and I for what we do as a profession, or a doctor or a lawyer, etc. And it shows that there's so much underneath, whatever it is that you're seeing, all that, that you can see with your limited vision. And we've all got limited vision because we all have our own particular narrow worldview. But there's so much underneath that person, isn't there? And I imagine that you've met so many amazing people through your job.
I have met some amazing people. And I must say, I'm not going to do it justice by trying to explain it, but there's plenty of information out there for anyone that actually wants to look it up. But in a nutshell, I mean, you look at one person there on the street, if you judge them by the fact they're on the street, then you could be missing out on a lot. You don't know why they're there. And, a lot of, just really basic sort of thought. A lot of people think, oh, if I give that guy money, he's just going to spend it on, on drugs or alcohol or something like that, which, why doesn't that person just go get a job? That's the initial thought of, a lot of people in society. I mean, there's definitely a lot of people that care, but there's a big part of society that just, don't care the fact that why they're there. So I guess if you do have those thoughts, maybe just have a think about, and you can bring that into your entire life, but maybe just have a think about looking past the outside and just have a thought. Okay, this person's here for a reason. What's happened to make them sleep on that piece of cardboard? For me to get to that point, there would have been a lot of, any of us to get to that point, there would be a lot of things that would have happened. So they've been through a lot of things, a lot of stuff. And, sometimes just a nod or a hello means the world of difference to some people. And, I just ask anyone who has that thought of, walking past them, obviously before COVID, but, sort of stepping away from these people and putting your head down, like just maybe nod and say hello. Like, I don't particularly want anything from you. They're just people that are in a situation that they can't control, or they've just lost a bit of motivation somewhere.
Yeah. One of our best friends, Jared, said to me, we're all about, a couple of steps away from being homeless. And I completely agree. It's not that hard.
It doesn't take much, and I've seen it. Like, I mean, I'm not going to go into any details, but I've seen it, and it's quite humbling, and makes you appreciate what you have, and and in my case now, it makes me really passionate about what I do. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
That's awesome, Jared. I'm glad at 40 you've found that niche.
I know, right? And I always said, through school, and you talked about the career development days in year 10. Like, I'm a 15-year-old kid. What do you want to do for the rest of your life, Jared? I don't know. What would I know? I don't barely know what I want for dinner tonight. Like, and then, but the point that everyone, do this because it's, if you get this marks, this is the thing that you get most money. Like, it's drilled into you, and you also recognize it. You wanted to be a merchant banker or whatever that is. So, all because of the money, and that's not you. Like, that's just because, it was drilled into us. You must work to make money, the most money you can. So here's a book, and here's, some sort of graph that shows that you're at this level. So these are the 25 jobs that you can do. And, like, I didn't want to do any of them. Yeah. I was a 35-year-old man who had a job, a good, stable job that still didn't know what he wants to do for a living.
And what's the point? 35. I mean, come on, we're basically middle-aged by that point.
Right. At that point, I just wanted to make enough money to pay the mortgage. I didn't, but it's, I'm in a good position where I was able to, I'm in a good position where I was able to find my feet in my career. And I do recognize that people are doing jobs that they don't want to do. They're just doing it to pay the bills and, continue existence for their family, which is perfect, I'm not even going to, it's the right thing to do. But, like, I suppose the people that are doing jobs that they don't want to do, it's important that you have your downtime, I guess. And because you do spend a lot of time, you do spend, 40 plus hours a week, doing this, leaving your family and spending time at a location or with people that you don't know. You're just being placed there and you're all there for the same reason. It's can definitely lead to certain, depressions and things like that I won't comment on because I don't know. I can't, I'm aware of it, but I can't tell you, how to get out of it or anything like that. That's not my role, but definitely aware of it.
Yeah, I think you're right in saying that that's just what you have to do. And you look at our parents' generation, they didn't have a lot of choice. Quite often people would stay in a job for their entire lives, really, and they'd retire, get their $50 voucher at the end of it, a little plaque, maybe a pen if they're lucky, and that was it. And then they'd drop dead. So
person replaces them.
Yeah. So we are very privileged to be allowed to even choose what we do. I definitely see that. And I look at the migrant experience and refugees in particular. I look at my parents and, they fled Vietnam and they didn't come here so I could find myself. They came here so I could find a job. And I can imagine how painful it is for parents to watch their kids go through a few different roles, perhaps have some turmoil in their lives. But it's really, it is a real privilege that we can do that here in Australia, that we're lucky enough to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to take a year off. Yeah. Imagine that, back in the old days, I'm not going to hunt for a year. I'm just going to sit in the cave, work on these little drawings of these yaks, and you guys go out and get the meat.
Yeah, I'm having a gap year. Yeah. I'm going to go travel to the. No, we are privileged. And I think, like saying that, I think, having breaks and having time away to reflect is a necessity. But it's definitely something that we are privileged with.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Jared, we're just about out of time and there's still so much more to discuss. I'd love to pick this up in the next episode and ask you what else it is that you find that defines you.
Yeah. Let's do it. I've enjoyed this half an hour or however long we've been speaking has flown by. So let's keep going.
Thanks, Jared.
Thank you, mate.